reduce. We don't want any boron or borate, which is a natural product, but plants don't like it. And obviously bleach, chlorine is a killer. We don't want that. Part of kind of a stage of consciousness that I find when I'm working with my clients on Greywater is really understanding this relationship of what we put down the drains and then the effect of that on living things. And obviously nothing brings that closer to home when it's your own back garden, and it's your own fruit trees or your palms or your beautiful shade trees that are protecting your home from the summer heat. So one thing I do recommend is to take a look at the ingredients in your products. Generally, shower Greywater systems are a lot more forgiving. The detergents or soaps that are used are more diluted to a greater extent, I should say. But still, it's a good opportunity to examine these products and make sure they're really good for us, particularly when we think how porous our skin is and how quickly these products can absorb into our own bloodstream, our own system. Cosmetics Database is a great resource. It gives you a breakdown of pretty much every product out there on the market. I would encourage you to get home later today and tap in some of your favorite products and just see what comes up there. And there is some pretty eye-opening results there, so be prepared to be somewhat shocked. Products that I would recommend that are already widely available on the market: Oasis, Ecos, Biopack, Kirkland Environmental, available at Costco. These are all great washing detergents that actually plants thrive on, and they add nutrients to the plants. For washing ourselves, Aubrey Organics is a great brand, but there's many others out there. And Dr. Bronner's locally produced Castile soap, organic soap, excellent. Okay, Kelly, I might need your help again. I'm sorry. Not sure that's. Okay, so just one back, please. Yeah, just a quick, that one, yeah. So Greywater basics, quick do's and don'ts. Mulch is a very important component of any laundry to landscape Greywater system. Mulch acts as a living, well, not a living sponge, but it acts as a natural sponge that disperses the water throughout our landscapes and retains that moisture. It also adds some filtration benefit to whatever's being discharged into the soil. So definitely use mulch. Use a three-way valve. Unfortunately, I forgot to bring mine this morning, but I can bring it at another time and pass it round. It's a very simple lever system, an on-off valve that sits above either the washing machine, or you can place this conveniently to be electronically turned on and off in a bathroom. It's very important for code purposes because sometimes we might want to wash with bleach and therefore we need to turn that system off. Or we may be washing oily rags or maybe dirty diapers, something that may have harmful ingredients in them that we don't want going out to the landscape. So important to have it on-off. We want plant-friendly products, which we just talked to, and we want to learn from a proven design. So we do have, great mentors here in California. So Laura Allen, who runs Greywater Action, has been a real trailblazer for us in California, as well as Art Ludwig out of Santa Barbara, who literally wrote the book, Create an Oasis with Greywater. Would strongly recommend them. Stick to tried and tested solutions. These work, and it saves us a lot of kind of time and problems down the road in terms of reinventing the wheel. You don't want to store Greywater. It's different to rainwater in that respect. It does have organic matter in it, and it will turn after about 24 hours. So you design systems that disperse the water pretty much immediately into the landscape and let the soil do the work in terms of cleaning that water and taking it to the root systems of our plants. We don't really advocate filtering. Filters block down over time, and you can design systems that really negate the need for filtering. We don't want to do Greywater if we're very close to other water systems. So, if your groundwater is very high, you're near creeks or riverbeds, Greywater is probably not a good solution because the risk of contamination could be there. Certainly we want to avoid any kind of pooling, standing of water, or any kind of runoff outside the boundaries of our own property. Really the kind of simple summary of what's in the code. Quick diagram, this shows a mulch basin. So we design systems that deposit water into basins. This is a kind of a basin that's been cut around a tree. Water would hit the mulch, disperse in the mulch, and release and obviously nourish that fruit tree over time. So this is a quick focus on a laundry to landscape system. We're taking the water from the washing machine, diverting it outside, and growing food or shelter or just a beautiful backyard with it. Quick schematic of how it's done. I'll move fairly quickly because I know we're short on time. And some diagrams. This is the three-way valve that I talked to earlier. We also, an important feature here is to have an anti-siphon device at the highest point of your system. This breaks a vacuum and avoids any kind of suction of dirty water back into your clean water supply, so it's really important. And we advocate maintaining the same pipe diameter as what would be a normal washing machine hose, so in this case a 1-inch pipe. We keep the consistency of water pressure so we don't create any unforeseen problems. This is a project underway. It just shows you how irrigation lines are built. They're dug, they're staked, they're buried, so everything's concealed and looks attractive once it's done. And water is typically deposited, we don't go any further down than a 1/2-inch pipe, and that really avoids any problems with blockages that could happen if you go to a smaller diameter than that. So a quick summary of what you can expect. Material costs, if you want to do it yourself, could be as little as $150 for a laundry to landscape system. And this is something that's definitely doable if you're somewhat handy and willing to get involved. In this situation, there was an efficient front-loading washing machine, generates about 15 gallons per load, estimated at 3 loads a week, and that was enough here in this situation to irrigate 6 new fruit trees. So we also start to touch on food production and food security with greywater systems. It's really something to think about when we take what we consider a waste and make it into a resource and multiply that in terms of food production for our homes. This is slightly switching gears now. This is the other simple system that we advocate. It's called a branch drain system. And what this picture is showing is, again, another 3-way valve that diverts, in this case, shower or bathroom water away from the sewer and redirects it out to the landscape again. It purely relies on gravity. It's slightly different to the washing machine system in that the washing machine has a built-in pump. So that's kind of an added advantage sometimes because it gets you kind of 4 or 5 feet of elevation without putting strain on the pump. The bathroom purely is a gravity-fed system. So it's situational. It doesn't work in every situation. You have to really assess what's going on in your own home to see if this makes sense. It works from splitting flows and distributing the water. So every time we split the water, as you see there, it divides it by another kind of fraction, and that eventually filters out to where you want the water to flow. So quick summary of this, greywater, simple systems, quick way to save money, save water, save on energy. I'm sure you guys have talked in the past the amount of energy. I think it's up to 19% of the state's energy is used to transport water. And obviously chemicals, it alleviates treatment of water on water districts because we're treating this water safely on our own landscapes. It encourages healthy product use, this state of consciousness that I talked to earlier. What are we putting down the drain? What are we putting on our body? What's helping our plants thrive and helping our environment thrive? And it connects us it gets us outdoors, which I think is a good thing. We kind of start to enjoy nature firsthand, and these simple steps we can take can honestly be a catalyst into other environmental steps we can encourage people. Talked about food production and bringing people together. A nice spin-off from greywater activity on a community level is food sharing programs. People are starting to harvest their crops. There's online communities that can get together and meet up and exchange fresh produce. Wonderful way to bring people together. It protects our oceans and rivers because it's a stage of awareness away from a utility culture into a conscious water culture for California. and it does create green jobs. I've done some training with students to get them active, involved as installers. I'm kind of living proof of this myself in terms of a career change I took 3 years ago. And there's a lot more we could do in San Diego in terms of creating green jobs through Greywater installations. It's legal, inexpensive and fun. And let's have a look quickly now at some of the incentives and activities that we've seen since the code change. So this is a quick breakdown where you see the red counties across the state. This is where there's active either installations, training or incentives being done since the code change 2009. About 23 counties across the state represented. There are 8 active programs through water districts right now. I'll give you a quick breakdown of what those are in a second. And that's involving either rebating materials or rebating the cost of installation or offering training programs so people can do this themselves, or professional training for people like landscapers, plumbers, contractors, etc. About 150 reported Greywater installations, 20 of which I've actually done myself. Streamlined permitting processes for the branch drain system, trying to make this easier, trying to take the cost out so people are less reluctant to participate. So let's get easier permitting or no cost, and let's get legal, safe systems out there rather than pioneering and mistakes being made. Lots of first installations in new counties, lots of breaking new grounds with city planning departments and water authorities. So lots of positive news. Here's a quick breakdown. I won't go through this in the interest of time, but what you'll see there is the actual water agencies or city departments that are actively now promoting Greywater. And obviously this is a placeholder for us to think about what we could do here locally. Some of the ongoing challenges I was asked to report on. With all the ground that we've made with making this legal and making this more accessible, there are still some exceptions. Some local jurisdictions are asking for multiple permits that unfortunately add cost, complexity, project time. And typically this is the breaking point that means people doing this or not doing this, or doing this kind of behind the scenes and maybe making mistakes rather than doing it the right way. So really something to think about at local levels of whether we're helping or hindering a problem by adding permitting processes. One thing I think for landscapers to bear in mind with simple systems is that they really aren't bulletproof, they're not automated, they're manual, and it takes obviously education and consciousness of the homeowner to be active in this. So again, maybe not suitable for every situation, but I'd also argue as a result of that consciousness you get so much more. I'm somebody that grew up in what I call a utility culture. Turning on the tap, flicking a switch, never really thinking about where this water or energy comes from and where it goes to when I finished it. And Greywater is a great way to break that pattern and give people a real step of consciousness of being part of a water cycle and improving it as we go forward. There is a lack of education. In fact, in the same report, the environmental report card, we got a B- in California, which recognised positive steps that we've made in terms of changing the code and some education, but also a B- in terms of the lack of education, particularly on simple systems. I think one of the stumbling blocks for Greywater is a lot of people think, oh, this is filtration and pumps, this is going to cost me thousands of dollars, when in effect simple systems really don't have to, it could be a couple of hundred. And I think also people just need to see these things in effect. They need to see simple systems and the benefits that come from them. So the more examples we can get on a local level, the better. I have examples that I would invite any of you, if you want to come and see, and we'd gladly show you these working examples of low-cost systems. But I think we need more in more public places. I was walking around a local school in Cardiff where I live, and I saw a wonderful example of how we could start to build simple greywater systems and rain harvesting to grow more food within the school site. And maybe that's a lead into new classes on food production and food security, which I think would all benefit from as a future for our community. So something to think about there in having more visible examples that people can benefit from. Okay, and that's enough from me. I'd love to hear any questions and comments about Greywater, if you've used this yourself, and I know we're a little bit over time, but over to you.
Great, thank you. Questions? Start here.